When I first saw this picture on the cover of the Mimi and Richard Farina album, Reflections in a Crystal Wind, I thought, what a great way to frame pictures. The most elaborate frame you can think of. Was I right? No. We've been taught that every picture needs a mat and a frame, but in what proportions? What materials? What colors? What do you think of this one? Thick, dark wood outer frame, thin, light wood inner frame. Does that work? How about the next one? A much larger wooden frame, dark, dark wood this time, with an inner thin mat of white. Does that work? Here's an ambitious picture. Black frame, a mid-tone brown outer mat, a white inner mat, very thin. Imagine this being in an exhibit with 20 others with the same frame. Finally, someone got really creative in trying to match the colors of this flower with the mat, both the inner yellow mat and the outer dark garnet one. How long could you live with this over breakfast? You see the problem. Every mat and frame is so gaudy it takes attention away from the picture. You might as well be looking at this blank space. For the answer, we turn to the principle of Occam's razor. The simplest solution is often the best. So what is this simple solution? Here's the one that I've come up with. For the matte color, solid white. Not off-white, cream, tan, oatmeal, or whatever. Solid, non-distracting white. For the frame, a thin black frame. Whether you use a wood or metal frame may not seem like much of an issue now. I mean, they're both black and they're both relatively thin. They look good. But it rapidly becomes an issue when you start exhibiting your pictures. Let's take a closer look at the wooden frame that was in the previous sequence. If we look closely at this frame, we find that it's a good, healthy, almost 2 centimeters thick, a little bit less than 7/8 of an inch. And look at here. What do we have? This looks like a nick, and I know just when I got it. I got it when I was transporting this picture from the gallery to home. And it didn't matter how much I wrapped it in bubble wrap or moving mats or anything else. These nicks happen when you have a wooden frame, which means they cannot be reused very often. It also means that if someone happens to like a picture that has a nick in it, you will have to offer them a discount. Here's another inconvenient side to having wooden frames. The paper backings are very fragile. Holes can suddenly appear during the transport back and forth to galleries, sometimes at the galleries themselves. I didn't even make this hole. What does this mean for you as the artist? Well, if you're lucky enough to sell the picture, you've got to tell the buyer about this hole, even though they never see it while the picture is hung, and you've got to offer them a substantial discount or redo the entire picture for them. Not fun. Here, in my opinion, is the solution: a metal frame. Here's the first advantage to the metal frame. It's very sturdy. As I run this light across it, you'll see there's not a single nick in the frame, and I've transported it back and forth to galleries several times. The metal frame's second advantage, it's very easy to disassemble if you want to replace the picture inside. Just use a screwdriver. The thickness of a mat is measured in something called ply. Typically they are 4-ply or 8-ply. Here are 3 mat ply sizes: 4-ply, 6-ply, and 8-ply. I haven't run into 6-ply very often, but I see 4-ply all the time in Walmart and CVS and other stores. They're also called Jiffy mats, and people buy them to frame diplomas and so forth. My advice would be to go with the 8-ply. It gives the work of art a real depth when you're looking into it, and you see it more in museums. It's a little more expensive, but it's worth it, and it doesn't look tacky. That's what's important. It's time for the bonus tip. Now, you may be tempted to do all of this framing and matting yourself. I mean, how hard could it be? You've mastered your art form. Why not just master the framing of it as well? Don't do it. It's time consuming to learn, expensive tool wise, and frustrating to do. Spend a little money and leave it to the experts. It's not worth it. Thanks for watching, and please check out my blog listed below. If you like it, please subscribe.